900-year-old Rockingham Castle in Northamptonshire is the venue for this, the grand final of the first ProTrax Warn Off-Road Challenge. The challenge is the inspiration of Vince Cobley, founder of ProTrax Off-Road Centre and co-winner of the Warn Transylvania Trophy in 1993. The challenge is sponsored by Warn Industries USA and is represented by their Vice President Tom Nelson and Laura Pontecassia, their European representative. A distinguished panel of judges will observe and score the teams, and these are Graham Fazakali, former event director for Camel Trophy up to 1988, the 1987 UK entry for the Camel Trophy, George B, Dr. Zani Sharani, ex-Malaysia Camel Trophy team member and director of Asian Adventure, Colin Dawson, editor of International Off-Road magazine, Richard Thomas, editor of Land Rover International magazine, and Dave Mitchell of Landcraft Off-Road Centre. The teams consist of winners of previous heats held around the UK, and the first of these was staged at Desborough in the spring of '93. One of the many tasks to overcome was this fallen tree, which had to be lifted so that the vehicles could drive underneath, and then be replaced, ready for the next group to attempt.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
Good.
Right, who's going to operate this?
Got a balancing rate on us. What do you want, a knife for that?
No, it should pull under.
Catch up. Right, now, right. You'll hold it that way a bit.
That?
Yeah. Okay, right.
Right,
get those ropes anchored.
Yeah.
Get the safety rope on.
Safety is one of the 5 scoring areas, and this not only relates to general overall safety, but also to the correct use of winches, ropes, jacks, etc., as well as safe driving techniques and safety towards other members of the group. Unsafe practices can be the downfall of an expedition, and one that this challenge is out to test. The second scoring area is winch practices, and by this the judges are again looking at technique, safety, communication between team members and others. Correct anchor points should be used, and the use of strops around trees must be observed. Chains or wire rope will ring bark the trees and eventually kill them. Gloves must always be worn, and the use of proper accessories is observed and scored on. The first heat was made up of many people, from many backgrounds, as well as the 2 sexes, with the girls getting into the thick of things early on in the proceedings. Pathos in his Jeep leads Andrew Laven along the bottom of the quarry, highlighting the third area of scoring, and this is driving skill, with judges looking for teams that use correct planning and approach with the right amount of speed and awareness to negotiate the terrain before them. Trevor Hurren uses his Warn 8274 to winch himself in his Land Rover 110 up the steep ascent out of the quarry, and is closely directed by Graham Turner. Once at the top, Trevor will then set up to winch a Land Rover 90 that is not equipped with a winch up out of the quarry, and this highlights the 4th area of scoring, and that is teamwork. Not only are the judges looking for team members working together as individual teams, but also to see them cooperate as a group. Some techniques are not as safe as others, and this group risks serious injury if the winch cable were to break. Gary Newbury winches himself successfully up the hill, closely followed by Andy Collins, who, with a broken winch, is retrieved using a pulley block to double the pulling power of the winch effectively by 2 to 1. This also halves the speed of the pull and, on an electric winch, reduces the current drawn by about 50%. The winches were busy that day, as Dave Lane uses his winch to extricate himself from the glutinous emulsion of clay and water. Sarah Turner uses plenty of horsepower to get as far as possible with a Land Rover 90 on tow behind. Not that they could see where they were going.
This one can winch out of.
Overall winners of the first heat were the combination of Alan Haley and Moose, two ex-Marines that showed all the skills necessary to win, including the fifth area of scoring, that of confidence, and one that they showed plenty of. In January '94, Vince took the challenge north across the border into Scotland, and the chosen venue was Don Coyote's off-road centre at La Mancha. Here, one of the many tasks was to see the team setting sail. What could they be doing?
I'll just stand here and wait till you keep it together. Right, both float together, nice and even, that's brilliant. Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, fantastic. Fantastic.
The teams have to retrieve ammo boxes from an island, as well as from the far shore, and these and all the team members then have to be winched back across the lake in the boat. While these are saved from a possible watery grave, others are learning that even diff locks are not always the answer to a loss of traction.
Two cars at a time, just head straight up for the bunting, stop short of the bunting, co-driver jumps out, runs up to the Castrol marker. Castrol marker, there are two of those wooden ammunition cases. Pick one of those up each, run across the ditch to the top of the hill, turn round, come back down, put the ammunition case down, run back to the car, and you're being timed for it.
As well as freezing temperatures, there was a lot of water at La Mancha, and Vince made sure all the teams had their fair share. As Neil Redpath's ex-Camel 110 breaks the ice, the spring was to see the challenge move into Wales at the Red Dragon site near Tenby. First casualty of the day is Dave Lummis in his Discovery, which with a mix of Autobox and Land Rover's tyre fitment was to find itself in the gorse bushes at the foot of a long and slippery descent. This created an impromptu team recovery, and the occupants were both unscathed physically, with little damage to the Discovery, and with a change to maxi-cross tyres, they went on to earn everyone's respect by completing the weekend. Vince could not bring the challenge to these magnificent wooded hillsides without utilising the river in the valley. Here, the teams had to follow the watercourse, avoiding and overcoming the many obstacles in their path. Alan Kidd, staff writer of Off-Road and Four-Wheel Drive magazine, helped clear a path for his teammate Chris Sayer in his coil-sprung lightweight, Arthur. Vince had made sure there was a generous supply of trees littering the river. Next on the list of surprises for the teams is the construction of an aerial ropeway, and Chris Sayer takes overall charge of this particular task.
I'm tense.
Anyway, I think that's your gear.
Oh, sorry. Hey, they've got all the gear. We've got, what, fair hand? We've got a fly fishing hat.
Keith Hurst, with heart in hand, takes a giant leap forward and down the ropeway.
It's not helping have done it. You mate.
Quick, undress him.
It's an experience.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll go up and do it again.
The girls are not going to let the lads have all the fun.
Well, the rope round the ankles.
A lot of water coming out the front of this.
At least it'll test the welding on your crossbench anyway.
Okay, cut the rope.
leave Wales as one of the teams is winched down an extremely steep hillside through the bushes and move on to the start of the grand final at Rockingham Castle. The 18 teams are all finalists from the previous eliminator heats and are gathered for this 2.5-day challenge. After a midday briefing, the teams leave the castle and enter the first stage of the final. This takes the teams into the wooded hillsides around the castle, and its purpose is to get the teams working together. To this end, there are no special tasks other than that of overcoming the many natural obstacles around the course. The torrential rain that has fallen all day makes the first long incline undrivable to most teams, and the winches are soon brought into action. Due to their extra weight, the long wheelbase vehicles are suffering more than the short wheelbases. Gary Newbury, in his V890, makes light work of the incline, picking a line away from the ruts. The Hopkinsons follow suit in their 2A Land Rover. Further up in the woods, the ground consists of a greasy clay, and Martin Green resorts to winching his Toyota through. The forest is no place for idle hands, and everyone is soon involved in manhandling and winching the vehicles through this demanding course. As the night draws in, Neil Hopkinson clears the last obstacle before heading back to the warmth and dry of the Rockingham Forest Hotel. Today's stage has proved a lot harder than the teams visualised due to the torrential, persistent rain turning the course into a quagmire. day 2, and the challenge has moved on to Tixover Quarry, where the teams have to complete a series of trial-type stages before moving on to the special tasks. Even these areas are not free from problems for certain teams, and Jonathan Rogers and Robert Edwards find the water section one such area.
I made a bit of a wrong turn in there. I think we dropped the nose in the water in a deep bit by going the wrong side of an arrow, and looks like we've got water in the fuel, so we're just bleeding all the injectors at the moment, and hopefully we'll be running again.
Although they had the Land Rover running again, the engine was to expire later when it pushed a conrod through the side of the engine block.
No, you need a shorter wheelbase, man. Middle brakes now.
While Graham Turner and Dick White winched their way up the side of the quarry, Sarah Turner and Simon Ely managed to power their way up. Wally Meikle takes his fourth Ibex for a swim, while Mark Payne steers his way around the course. As Chris Sayer guides his trusty steed Arthur around the course, James Rudd and Rob Goland have a sticky problem.
I have to say, Warren again have got it absolutely right. As you can see, we're here in the Channel Tunnel. It's pretty deep. The starter measures failed, and I'm sorry to say we've got a slight difficulty with the electric. However, I'm sure through here we'll be onwards and upwards and all see the rush.
A quick tow from Dick White, and James is soon back on his way. Dave Lane picks another line and gets through, but Sarah Turner falls foul of the same ridge that James broached.
Well, just pick the cable up. Gary, go back a bit.
Sarah's Wellingtons are not the only things to fill with water, as Mark Payne and Colin James show how it should be done. Oakes confidently clears this section, closely followed by Dave Lane. Mark Payne falls foul this time, partly due to a set of past their best Michelin XCLs, not the best for Tixover's heavy clay. As Sarah and Carol clear the waterhole, the teams move on to the first of the special tasks. This task requires the group to construct an aerial ropeway across the lake and transport members of the teams over to an island in the middle. The first problem is that the winch cable for the ropeway has to be fetched from the opposite side of the lake, and it cannot be walked around. In order to achieve this, the teams construct a raft to enable them to row across the lake. Neil Hopkinson and Graham Turner are volunteered into becoming the seafaring team and precariously row across the lake. Upon arrival, they collect the winch cable from Bob Noakes. This is in fact their second attempt, as first time around they dropped the winch cable halfway back across the lake. Making doubly sure that the winch cable is secure, the rest of the team pull them back. The winch cable is tensioned between the two vehicles on opposite sides of the lake. Once the rope is sufficiently tensioned, Brett gingerly sets forth down the cable towards the island. It is at this point that Brett is thankful that he had the foresight to wear his waders. Once Brett releases himself from the pulley block, it is returned for Sandra Williamson to have a go. While this group finished the task by disassembling everything, the other group are facing problems of a different nature.
Tell me all about it.
I have a small technical problem. I've broken a different day for the last 2 days. So now we're winching through in two-wheel drive. Extremely irritating.
Dave Lane is not the only driver having problems, as Andrew Smith locks in his ARB diff locks and gives Sarah Turner a welcome tow. The girls only have to winch themselves out of the gully utilising an Orca ground anchor, with the added safety of a sheet over the winch cable to kill the recoil if the wire rope was to indeed break. James Rudd pulls his Land Rover up the hill, demonstrating the speed and effectiveness of his worn 8274 winch. Dave Lane and Andy Blois use a 2-winch recovery due to the extra weight they are carrying. This not only halves the load, but maintains the speed of recovery. One careful owner. The only problem with ground anchors is the retrieval of the pins. With lunch over, Vince Cobley leads the convoy to Stainby Quarry, where they have to undertake 2 special tasks, as well as driving a laid-out course. The first task starts with a Le Mans-style start up the hill to the parked vehicles. The teams then have to remove a road wheel, roll it across to the bank, then back to replace it. The first team to finish gets 18 points, the last just 1.
That chocks underneath.
It's okay, you're okay so far.
What number are you? 15. 15. 15.
Number 2.
Number 2. Yeah. 15.
Exercise was beautiful. Adds a bit of interest, doesn't it? You know, driving, winching, all the same. This just makes it different.
Nice little exercise there, did quite well. It's good organisation, but we didn't win, we came second. But that's not too bad.
Slightly physical.
Slightly physical, yeah.
After the special task, the teams drive the off-road course, where the judges are looking for vehicle control and driver awareness. a vicious gully has to be driven with some severe side slopes, and we ride in car with James Rudd.
Don't tell you, it's a drop of rain on the lens. Let's go back there we go. Got a flat tire window, sure. Got a flat tire? Yeah. There we are, we'll get to the end.
There you go, it's all right.
Just keep that at an angle and it should come over here.
The second of the special tasks calls for the teams to construct a bridge using 3 telegraph poles and 4 sleepers. When completed, they then have to drive across it. Simon Ely ensures that the width of the bridge matches the wheelbase of the Land Rovers. Robert Edwards pilots his 90 tentatively up and onto the bridge. Easy does it. The teams have to imagine that if this took part in a real expedition, it could be a long way down. This mistake would have resulted in the possible loss of both vehicle and driver, and a point the judges make a note of. Graham Turner tries to see if he can get his 90 across. A good effort, as Graham makes it safely across. Sarah Turner crosses with a fine display of smooth driving. Day 3, and the teams are split into 2 groups, one here in the woods at Desborough and one in the quarry, with a changeover at midday. There are no special tasks today, but the onus is on completing the laid out courses. The strain is on, as Dick White hauls his 90 up the first incline of the jungle track. This wood contains some seemingly impassable sections, and it is only teamwork that will enable the vehicles to survive the course without serious body panel damage or major mechanical problems. Neil and Manley decide that the top-off is in order, not to catch the sun, but to avoid the chance of ripping it on the encroaching undergrowth.
Well, I actually prefer just lifting this front a little bit.
at the same time.
I know the chain's going to be a bit in the way.
Yeah, but it'll do the job, doesn't it?
But, you know, I just want to lift it.
Yeah, I see your point.
Right, let's get this across.
What you said, actually, Simon.
What?
How you feeling now, Alan?
Right.
Right, now we can take it up on the chain. That is working.
First major problem is negotiating this hairpin between two trees. And here, Dave Dixon's 90 is pulled and winched around.
Jack left. Do you think he'll drive it?
Further on, Dave Lane and Andy Blois have managed to impale their 90 on a hidden lump of concrete and have pushed the bumper back into the tyre. James first winches the 90 back off the obstruction so that a repair can be carried out.
All right, mind yourselves.
Utilising their own winch, the offending bumper is pulled out from the tyre, allowing them to continue the course.
Actually, you'll note this isn't my car. There's having no compassion at all with bringing it through the bushes.
Tony Cable and Ivan Kendall are suffering a broken winch, and Chris Sayer comes to their aid. While further back, Dick White is helping Martin Green and John Dunning to winch their Toyota through a tricky section. To lessen the load on the winch due to the short pull, a pulley block is used. As the Toyota crests the hill, Chris and Brett in their lightweight head down into the quarry. James winches and pulls both himself and Jason through a particularly glutinous section. Dave Fletcher lends a hand looking for submerged rocks as the teams make their way along the quarry bottom. James and Jason climb out of the water while Dave Lane, guided by both Andy and Dave, carries on. At this point, the water gets seriously deep and Dave Fletcher has to swim for it. After successfully driving the lake, there is only one last obstacle before heading back for the prize giving. Laura Pontacassia of Warne presents the Team Spirit Award to Mark Payne and Colin James. Andrew Smith and Doug Landy take third place and receive their trophies along with a Warne winch accessory kit. Second place goes to the pairing of Tony Cable and Ivan Kendall, who also receive a set of rugged trail shock absorbers. First place goes to the ever-popular team of brothers Neil and Mandy Hopkinson, who skillfully piloted their 31-year-old Land Rover 2A to victory.
Tony Cable, Ivan Kendall, second winners in the Warne Challenge. How do you feel about that?
Quite good, brilliant, yeah. Yep.
Did you expect to come that place?
I think we expected to come in the top 4 or 5. Probably not second, but yeah, we expected to come quite high up, yeah.
What did you think of the race itself and the course and everything?
Good. Yeah, it's very well organised this time. It's the best challenge we've been on. We've been on several of them now. It's definitely the best one.
The ultimate winners of the Warne Challenge final. Did you expect to win today?
We certainly came here hoping to win, and we knew we had a good chance. What with Neil's driving being very good, and I'm good at knots, so we thought, well, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
What about the vehicle?
31-year-old Land Rover 2A. We've always had great faith in it. I mean, it's designed to go off-road, and it does go off-road. And if you treat it right, it's really very, very good. Very, very good. But if you make a mistake, it'll kick you in the teeth. So it's very important to do things properly.
And you actually flew in to...
Yeah, I living in Bangkok at the moment. I arrived on Monday, specifically to be here for this event. I'll be here for another month or two to sort of pick up the pieces and hopefully go to the next event in Transylvania, wherever it is, and I'll be back out there in July or whatever. But I'll be around.
Who did you think were the next best team in the race?
Gosh, that's a difficult question.
Difficult,
it
but
really is.
there was a couple of teams we liked, wasn't there? We worked with Simon Ely and Craig, and we enjoyed working with them.
They got fourth place.
And they got fourth place, and they were very good. As a team, we worked together, didn't we, the two of us?
Yeah.
The two vehicles.
But there were so many.
It's just great. I mean, there were just so many good teams. It was just wonderful. The team spirit was just tremendous.
Doug and Andrew, third in the Warne Challenge. How did you do it?
I think it went fairly well. We've obviously done quite a bit in the past, and we were here to do well. We've been quite competitive all weekend, and we've tried to do everything as safely as we possibly can and take our time and obviously get involved and help everybody else as we've gone along. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with the result, really. It must be very, very hard for the judges to actually decide who's going to be in the top 3 or 4 with the way the competition runs. And so, yeah, to come anywhere in the top 6, I reckon, is a good achievement, considering the skill that's involved in it for everybody. I think the standard for the whole lineup of teams has been very good all weekend.
Finally, we say goodbye to this year's Warne Off-Road Challenge as Neil and Manley proudly received the first prize from Laura Pontacassia and Tom Nelson of Warne Industries USA, a Warne XD9000i winch.